Hello and welcome back to the Omnia Performance podcast. A lot has happened since our last episode, so let me bring you up to speed. First of all, back in May, we launched a rebrand with a new logo, clearer messaging, and in our opinion, entirely unbiased, of course, a clearer identity for you guys, our athletes and listeners to align with. Following this, in June, we launched a new and improved website, systems, and product offering with 3 simple tiers to choose from. And it's been incredible to see so many of you join us from all over the world. We brought on some amazing people. Kelly has joined us as our social media manager. John has joined us as our community manager. James has joined us as a head coach. Kieran has also joined us as a head coach. And Dr. Phil Price has become our head of sports science and will be returning to this podcast very soon in all of his Henry Cavill lookalike brilliance. Finally, if you're a previous listener, then you'll quickly notice that Johnny is no longer co-hosting the podcast. Johnny has left Omnia in January to focus on areas of his coaching specialism more aligned with combat sports, mountaineering, and remote wilderness expeditions. We, of course, wish him all of the very best and are excited to see what he takes on next. But with so much change, restructure, and so many new faces, we felt that it made the most sense to restart the podcast to build in line with our new and improved offering, rebrand, and exciting plans for the future. We're absolutely thrilled to have you here, so let's kick off the return of the Omnia Performance podcast with James and Kieran to hear a little bit more about their training and personal background. Gentlemen, welcome. Hello. Who's going first? Who's telling us their life story succinctly, concisely? Go.
I think he's a tough act to follow, to be fair. So,
okay, so
I'm going to go first. Yeah. Is that fair enough?
That is fair enough. So James, tell us a little bit about yourself. How you first came to Omnia, how you are here now, what you've trained for. Just give us it all.
Cool. So the lowdown is, I'm James Blanchard for a start, head coach here at Omnia. If we go way back to the origin story. So I was an athlete for many years, had aspirations of going professional. So playing rugby 7 specifically, Bob Skeleton. Sadly, a illness put a stop to that. So I then kind of had a bit of a reframing of what I wanted to get out of sport and training. And I kind of found I don't really want to be pigeonholed into just being like a powerlifter or a runner. So I tried to do a ultramarathon and I enlisted the help of Omnia to do so. And one thing led to another and actually became part of the coaching staff, which is very exciting. And started out as as a contractor, but now I'm here with Omnia full time. That's pretty much the very whistle stop.
That was nice and whistle stop, actually. Yeah. Kieran.
Very succinct.
So
try and match the succinctness.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, hello. So Kieran Richardson, full name. I feel like you're in trouble.
Very formal.
So, I never thought I'd get the chance to put a former army officer in trouble. I'm going to milk this. Tell us about yourself, background, how did you get here?
So joined the military very young. I was quite lucky to go to a military college. So went there when I was 16 and fell in love with fitness. And when I got to uni, I then started taking it very seriously. So strength sports and competing in powerlifting. Unfortunately, that led to me getting rather heavy and rather unhybrid, shall we say. So when it came time to go to Sandhurst, had to work on my fitness a lot. And that's where the hybrid side of things came from and where my background in all this really started. I enlisted the help of Omnia originally back before my airborne selection training. So P company, arduous military selection course, need to be very good runner, good at loaded marching. And I was also coaching on the side at the time and I didn't want to handle my own training. So came to another expert and that was kind of where my relationship with you guys really started. And then obviously I've carried on coaching on the side throughout my military career. And I served for a number of years in 16 Air Assault Brigade, had an incredible time, lots of deployments, exercises, really, really fun experience. My final post in the military was then training the next generations of soldiers at Pirbright. Again, very fun, rewarding job. Really built up my coaching business while I was there and have now left the army and joined Omnia full-time as part of the team.
Wonderful. So I think at this point, given that we all have a strength background where we had a brief period of being quite unhybrid, let's do a round the houses of squat, bench, deadlift, best of all times. Should we do in the gym and on a competition floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so ego versus formal, shall we say. So my best ego lifts of all time are 260 in the gym, squat, 260 in comp, squat. That was in reps though. I know you guys haven't squatted in reps, so okay, fine. You've got me. You've got me. Before I've rumbled myself, and then 240 in sleeves in the gym. I've never actually done a sleeve squat. No, I have done a sleeve squat in competition. My first ever competition, which almost put me off powerlifting because it was so sterile. And I think my sleeve squat was 100. Did I fail 150? I think I squatted 145. I think I failed 150.
Early days.
Yeah, early days. Yeah, 2012, I think it was.
Oh, how old were you then?
17, 18.
Oh, okay, fair.
Not sure.
Oh, you did come to it quite young.
Yeah, I did, yeah. It was post too many concussions. So the rugby to powerlifting pathway, quite well trodden these days, in fact. Best bench in the gym is 160 for 2. I was 104 kilos, however, so, and that's important to caveat. Best bench in comp, 160. Best deadlift in the gym, 260. Best deadlift in comp, 250. I failed 262.5 kilos twice in competition, annoyingly. James.
So, training, squat, 240. So that's in the gym. Competition, best squat is 235. Bench, there's a massive gap. 165 in the gym and 152.5 competition. Deadlift, both 240.
Nice.
Well, I've at least got something I can win on. So squat and bench press, especially given I was much heavier than you. Unfortunately, I'm beaten there. So 230 in sleeves in competition, 232 in the gym, 152.5 bench. That was in competition. Never beat that in the gym. Unfortunately, I would like to give that another go, but I think probably body weight is going to be prohibitive there.
Yeah, and training volume. Yeah, now that you can actually train consistently rather than just get sent to the other side of the world at a moment's notice.
Does help.
Yeah.
Then deadlift 262.5.
Oh,
that was
bastard.
That was in competition.
Oh, I wish you hadn't mentioned I'd failed twice in comp now. Oh, so this is fun. I didn't actually know these numbers. Yeah.
There we are.
And favourite endurance activity following that period of meatheadedness? Because we're all still meatheads at heart, I'd say, but I think there's a lot of similarities between us all and the things that we get from running, things that we get from other disciplines. I think for me, the most rewarding distance and the thing that I've taken the most value from was actually my first half marathon. So we'll do this in two ways. So I say that the real turning point for you with endurance, mine was my first half marathon, which was just a list run, just a training run for a bigger event. And then my favorite distance is probably a mile. Probably a mile.
Wow.
And they're both running, which is interesting because I can't run right now. So clearly there's mixed messages here being sent. So James, the turning point for you with your entry into the world of hybrid training with endurance and your current favorite distance to send it on.
Fair. I would say the turning point for me would have been, that whole during COVID, it was like the run 5, nominate 5, donate 5, whatever it was called. That absolutely put me in the bin. And it was that turning point. When you have that moment, like where you constantly think like you're young and you compare like, oh yeah, back at school, I would have done this fine, or back at uni or whatever, when you can just lean into your youthful fitness. And I suddenly realized like, shit, I don't have that to fall back on anymore. That was a massive turning point, and one that kind of led me to take perhaps my all-round fitness as something to be taken a bit more seriously. So I'd say that would be my biggest turning point. Then my favorite event to send on, I think it's a half as well. I really enjoy a half marathon. It's something that requires like a bit of strategy in terms of the pacing. You got to kind of think about fueling a little bit. It's not just about kind of strapping yourself in and sending it like, say, like a mile or 5K. Well, yeah, true. There is elements of that.
You might have a bad time towards the end, but
yeah. No, I'd say half marathon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kieran?
So turning point for me was actually at Sandhurst. I hadn't had that big of an endurance prep prior to it. So I started Sandhurst, which is a year-long course, sort of top third in terms of aerobic fitness. I went in fit, but I wasn't one of the front runners. I trained really hard when I was at Sandhurst because about halfway through I found out I'd been selected for a place to go on the Airborne Selection Course P Company, and I wanted to do well.
Yeah.
So I pushed running really hard. And by the end of Sandhurst, I was one of the very top in my intake, pushing some really good times. And that for me was this eye-opener that actually, you know what, I can move quite well here. I adapted to endurance training really well. So I think I wasted a lot of my best years, or I won't say wasted, but I perhaps could have gone a lot further in endurance sports than I might have realised.
Okay. And favorite distance now?
Favorite distance. So pains me to say it. I absolutely love the 5 and the 10K. They hurt.
They do.
Just strap yourself
You
in
had
full send.
Was it a 5 or a 10K PB you had recently?
10K. So
10K.
37.10 came out of nowhere. My running volume had been extremely low from all the deployments. So my last year of service, I was deployed 11 times in 12 months. Running was very, very hit and miss. Running sort of 10, 15K a week, if that. Some weeks, no running. But I was cycling pretty hard. We had a race season, so I was doing a lot of crit racing, just pushing the bike really hard. And it meant that I tried a 10K. My running was coming back quite quickly. I felt fit. I thought, you know what, maybe I'm on for a PB here. Previous PB was 39.30. I thought maybe I can dip under 39, maybe get in with 38 perhaps. And just felt incredible on the day. Dropped the guy that was pacing me very quickly. He had a bad day, unfortunately. Dropped the group that I was running with. I thought maybe I'm going a bit hard here, but you know what, I feel good. And crossed the line 37.10. So
very nice.
Very excited. And
very nice.
We'll try and dip that.
Didn't then go to the gym and try and squat
I
371 pounds.
I was tempted to make it a bit of a hybrid challenge, but I couldn't think of anything nice to pair it with that would...
Give me a call next time.
Yeah. We'll come up with a match challenge.
I've got a black book of stupidity we can tap into. Nice. I think that all ties in quite nicely with the fact that I think most people that come to work with us, most people that we work with, all have had that moment of being quite single discipline focused and then discovering, exploring that there is actually a lot more out there that doesn't inhibit what you're already doing too much and actually opens up a whole new avenue. So I think for me personally, and I'm keen to hear your guys' thoughts on this, the biggest thing that half marathon turning point for me gave me was actually a better quality of life, because it gave me the ability to enjoy more things in that sort of forward motion, progressive overload mindset that kind of spills over into every avenue of my life. And with powerlifting alone, with rugby alone, I didn't feel like I could fully maximize that. And there's things that I've been able to access in terms of places, environments, people, groups, experiences, all these things that come from hybrid training. And whilst hybrid training has become a diluted term, which we will talk on more detail in very soon, I think the beauty of it is if you can become more competent in more things and develop more skills and more things, it allows you to do more things in more ways. And for me, I think that's where a lot of the people that we've all worked with get the most value out of their training, because we're not, for the most part, we do sometimes work with professional athletes, but for people that are recreationally training, it is to support their quality of life. They train to live, not live to train. And I think it's quite easy when you're laser focused in on a goal to lose sight of that sometimes. So how has the balance of strength and endurance training enriched your quality of life, James?
So I would say that it's got me to stop thinking about things in quite so much of like an extreme, like polarizing manner. So for example, I don't know if you guys had the same thing, but when we were training for powerlifting, or I personally found you were like, right, I'm a powerlifter. So basically everything you do in training is kind of like geared towards that. But of course that ignores a ton of other physical and maybe even mental qualities as well that you would get from endurance training of some description. So it's very difficult sometimes to not think in extremes, because you might see like, right, X, Y, Z elite powerlifter literally does like squat, bench, deadlift all the time. Don't ever see him do cardio. I don't want to look like Mo Farah, or can't think of anyone a bit more current to compare physique wise to. So I just don't train endurance. But of course, in us normies, that's not how it works. When you're dealing with much more like appropriate normal training volumes, you don't have to pigeonhole yourself into like being a powerlifter, just a runner or whatever else. So yeah, I would say like giving me a bit more of a well-rounded approach to training, and dare I say it, like average, like it makes you kind of like realize you are average at a lot of stuff, but getting stuck into things in like small doses like that, I think is, yeah, undoubtedly the way to go for most folks. I think for people that come to us, if they haven't made that conclusion already from the off, they do eventually make that kind of conclusion for themselves and realize, right, I don't have to be all in one camp whilst neglecting everything else.
Kieran?
Definitely. So for me, the hybrid training side of things, it's opened up so many more doors for adventure and doing things that I really, really enjoy. So I remember when I was powerlifting back at uni, we were very close to, this was the first year that I was powerlifting, we were very close to qualifying for the University World Championships in our federation. And it was this all-encompassing goal. It felt like the most important thing in the world. And I had 2 weeks away over in the Alps with the army, and it was incredible. I loved every second of it. And I had the opportunity to stay out there for 2 more weeks. And I turned it down because I was that worried about losing strength and muscle and the size aspect of powerlifting. I thought that's the worst thing in the world. But looking back now, I can't turning down 2 weeks in the Alps in Slovenia for 2 weeks of extra powerlifting training. That doesn't compute in my head anymore. The opportunities that being both fit and strong give you to explore, to see these amazing places, to enjoy the great outdoors. You go outside and you're not very fit, even the smallest hill walk, it's not the most enjoyable experience. And go up any major hill on a bank holiday and you see people who can't enjoy fitness, or they can't enjoy the great outdoors to the fullest extent, because
which we do actually have an enormous amount of access to in the UK, which is often taken for granted. And whilst I mean, not everybody listening is from the UK, it's worth mentioning. I think most people in the world and most of the markets that we operate in, people do have access to amazing environments. Now that's a really big part of why people come to work with us and what's important to them, which is why strength, endurance, adventure are kind of the 3 components that we really focus on. Example I always use on that, and I've used before and I will use again, is I, at peak powerlifting mode, used to not play golf with my friends on a Saturday morning, even though I enjoyed golf and didn't really see much of my friends and had stopped enjoying powerlifting, so that I didn't have 10,000 steps or so in my legs ahead of heavy squats on a Monday. And I'm thinking back like, no wonder you felt deprived and alone whilst you were training powerlifting in London for those last couple of years, is because you were depriving yourself and making yourself alone by choosing to pursue something that wasn't actually that fulfilling for you anymore. So I think that is the big thing. It's being able to blend yourself between different, I guess, what other people would like to be boxes, but I kind of view as opportunities, so to speak. So given that this is a bit of a reintroduction podcast and we're being quite top line, I'm trying to get to know you wonderful lads a little bit better. People probably know enough about me at this point, but I'll jump in on the game because I'm going to make these questions up as we go along and see where we get to. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, James, Kieran, me. I'm going to say a statement and you're going to give your answer without thinking.
Ooh.
Bucket list race.
Marathon des Sables.
The Alpe d'Huez triathlon.
The Norseman. Death row meal. Main course only.
Nan's roast dinner.
Beef burger, chicken tenders sides.
Beef Wellington. Interesting. Okay, interesting. This is
Beef Wellington's a strong choice.
I'm already having fun. Favorite sporting moment of all time?
2012 Olympics.
That's broad, but we'll let it pass.
Opening ceremony. London 2012 Olympics.
Rogue One, Joshua versus Klitschko, boxing.
Interesting. I'm going to go Japan beating South Africa in the World Cup in Japan. Was it in Japan?
No, it was in
it was the
UK, wasn't it?
It was the UK, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, because I've misremembered that, I'm going to go with something else. I wasn't alive, but Roger Bannister's 4-minute mile. Greatest athlete of all time.
Tiger. Do you want to? What's that face for?
I agree.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Bit of a rogue one. I'm going to go with, they're not very complete, but essentially any world champion or like Tour de France winner, Grand Tour, I think the limits of endurance getting pushed there are just
they are another breed,
unfathomable.
Yeah, that Focaccia guy is pretty good at pedaling faster.
That Focaccia man, he's pretty good.
I'm going to go Tiger as well, actually, which is a bit of a cop-out. So if it wasn't a cop-out, no, I'm not going to give an alternative.
Tiger's fine.
Just, yeah. Good that we lots of strength endurance required to be the best golfer in the world.
Big time. Known hybrid athletes, golfers, for sure.
Yeah, no, he is the GOAT. Which will rile a few football fans, but here we are. Favorite place that you visited?
Peru.
Belize.
Iceland.
On the bucket list.
The supermarket, of course. You can only do one lifting exercise for the rest of your life. What is it?
Power snatch.
Deadlifts.
Front squats. What length should shorts be?
Short as possible.
Agreed. 5-inch inseam is the longest maximum permissible.
I'm going to say 5, but no shorter, no longer.
Only 5.
5 only, yeah.
If
Which
you have
in some
quads.
parts of the world is actually not liked at all.
Yeah, it's not okay.
Yeah, I got screamed abuse at in Texas for being in apparently shorter shorts than this man liked in his flannel shirt and jeans and 37 degrees Celsius. But well, each to their own. Each to their own. He hadn't just had knee sleeves on while squatting, so each to their own. Each to their own.
Doesn't know the pain.
Proudest achievement.
Opening my first gym.
Okay, we'll make this round proudest achievement non-fitness related.
For me, passing, it sounds fitness related, but passing P company.
Yeah.
Partly because it was more of a mental challenge than fitness. There was a lot of self-doubt there. So even though I've done harder things fitness wise, realistically, it wasn't actually that hard compared to some of the other things I've done. Mentally, for me at the time, it was the hardest thing I'd done.
Nice. Okay. Proudest non-fitness kind of is loosely again a bit like yours, Kieran, but raising over 100 grand for Movember. Proudest fitness related achievement.
First sub 20-minute 5K.
Nice.
The 5-minute mile, 500 plus pound deadlift. I took it a little bit higher, and I went for a max deadlift after the mile.
It's 240, wasn't it?
240. So I was pretty proud of that. 240 deadlift and a sub 5-minute mile.
Okay, I'm going to go with a 500-pound squat and sub 5-minute mile, which means I can share in your pain for the training related to that. But that was still to this day the most confusingly challenging thing I've ever had to train for and execute. And wow, it buried me beyond belief. Next event that you're training for?
A sub 3-hour marathon.
Wonderful.
So I've got no massive events booked in, but sub 17 5K, sub 37 10K, and longer term 4 watts per kilo FTP. That's a really horrible and antisocial thing to train for, that last one. I wish I hadn't asked. When's this going out? Have I announced what I'm doing yet? A series of triathlons, just to cover all bases in case I haven't announced what I'm doing yet. Okay, I'm running out of, I'm not as sharp as I was. Let's think. If somebody asked you to do a convincing accent of a certain nation, which would your default be?
South Africa, eh?
Okay, bro. Nice. Kieran?
As somebody who's notoriously bad at accents.
I think this is towing the line a little bit.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking this might not make the final cut.
Okay.
I'm going to have to be extremely careful because I am terrible at accents. So
okay, we'll just pass. I only said this because I was playing this game with Tom, who sat next door before I came in. But yeah, it was I'll go one more and I'll take my time on it so that we don't have to delete this whole podcast. The proudest moment as a coach that you've experienced in a sort of coach-athlete relationship?
I would say not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, one of my clients did Ironman Thun in Switzerland. Yeah. Having got 20 miles in to the run of Ironman Nice 4 weeks prior, got full body cramp, looked like just been tasered in the middle of the road, bless him. So for him to come back from that awful experience, having got so close and so far, to then smashing it a month later, I'd say.
For me, it's when it's not necessarily the biggest achievements, it's when somebody feels almost free enough to try something new. So working with somebody at the moment who was very powerlifting focused, wanted to start including running, and then now suddenly feels that they can include cycling, and had so much joy from that. And that's so special, being able to help somebody break free from the traps that we were talking about of feeling so stuck in one discipline. Yeah. When somebody feels that, you know what, actually, I can still hit my strength goals, I can still enjoy the outdoors, I can still push endurance, that's really special, because you know then you've helped somebody escape the traps that we did. Yep, nice. I think proudest coach-athlete relationship moment for me is with Shane over in Townsville, who joined us at 145 kilos
aspiring to do Ironman Cairns for his first Ironman, basically 9 months later. Cairns is I think it's about an hour in the car away from Townsville, so it's not far. He did Ironman Cairns at 108 kilos 9 months later, and he did it again this year at under 100 kilos and had a huge PB on the year previously. So just a really nice journey of very frank and rational understanding of the steps he was implementing to actually make long-lasting change, rather than just viewing it as sort of a bit of a hyper-focused sort of crash. Because I think 145 kilos to 108 kilos, huge achievement in and of itself. Ironman, huge focus. Combine those two things, and all of a sudden you take the focus away, and it'd be very easy to rebound. Whereas Shane was very diligently understanding what the lifestyle changes were. I think that's something we worked on really closely. So to see that the whole way through was very nice for me to experience as well as him. So there we are. Our introduction. Wonderful. How fun. There'll be a lot more of this. Less introduction-y. Probably with more pre-prepared quick fire questions rather than off the cuff, but here we are. Here we are. So, gents, until next time. I don't need to tell everyone where to find you because they'll know where to find you. Show notes down below. Everything will be explained in there in terms of where you can find more information on what these lads are up to. And if you are interested in any one-to-one coaching from James or Kieran, then that is on the website. And there's a couple of other things down there that you can check out. But that is the Omnia Performance back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy days. Goodbye.